The matinee Marauders, they strike again. The Hornets can't lose in the afternoon. We'll recap that game against San Antonio, and we have the deadline coming up this week. Who's out, who's in, all-star snubs on the Hornets roster. We'll get to all of it today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free. We are available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Speaking of Game Time, moved up today again. They get to play an afternoon game, which they're 3-0 in with the Game Time rescheduled. Game Time? Matinee? Love it. Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Follow him on Twitter at Doug Branson LOH, and also follow his other show, Yahoo Sports Daily. He's producing Super Bowl week. Got to be exciting for you, Jason Fitz, Caroline Fitton. They're going out to San Fran. I guess they're just leaving you in Nashville while they go out to San Fran.
Well,
are we jealous of that? Do we have to make a couple calls?
No, they told me. They said, listen, the Hornets have never been hotter. Okay, we know that you need to stay with your equipment and be ready. Although, apparently, Walker, we're not ready fast enough. I've been doing this. You've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for nearly 10 years, potting about the Charlotte Hornets 5 days a week. And look, when you do that, you're going to open yourself up to online abuse of all kinds. I mean, I remember the Jeremy Lin days, and certainly LaMelo Ball, Hive, engenders some of that as well. But one criticism I don't remember ever getting was, you're not talking about the Hornets fast enough. Get on the air.
Testy. Yeah.
that shows you how long that we've all of us sickos together have been in the wilderness together.
You're not wrong. Every once in a while, we'd get a comment of, hey, man, when's the pod coming out? Or you're going to drop a pod. Got one question about, are we going to drop a pod before today's game? But there are a lot of aggressive comments. Hey, this doesn't work for my schedule. Why aren't you guys dropping an episode? What are you doing? It used to be this. So, yeah, our schedule's changed. But we're actually recording in the morning now for the first time in a while. You get Morning Walker. You get, I hope the phlegm stays somewhere in just the, no. I hope the phlegm stays somewhere else. It usually resides in the morning with me, but I hope it goes away. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio, 92.7 FM. Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it in the morning so we can recap the Spurs game, and then maybe we can focus on a recap of the Pellies game either later today, tomorrow, who knows, probably tomorrow morning. We'll figure that out off air. But this is what I wanted to discuss with you, because this win against San Antonio, 111 to 106, 6 games in a row, the Hornets have won. Really hot. They look awesome. Starting 5 looks phenomenal. Moussa, oh my God, great game against Wemby. LaMelo just facilitating at all levels. Brandon Miller hitting big shots. Kon Knueppel coming up with some impressive ones. How about Colin Sexton? He was great. When I had a conversation with Matt Outkiza a couple weeks ago, he asked, what was the best win of the season? And it's still, to me, pretty clear that it was the OKC victory, because that was bananas on the road, 30-point victory, whatever. But it feels like they're starting to stack a couple of wins on top of one another that matter, that make me feel good, and they're also representative of what this team is. And the San Antonio Spurs victory, while I don't think it's on the level of that OKC victory, in terms of being real, it almost felt like there was still a possibility of that OKC win being an outlier, just being this statistical anomaly. They weren't ready yet, right? But here, this almost feels like it's representative of something more than what OKC was in the moment. This is a monster win, big-time statement game, nationally televised contest. They didn't fold when the bright lights were on them. This was a good one, Doug. Great win for the Hornets.
I would make the case that this was the best win of the Charlotte Hornets season, even over the OKC win, because to me, that win still feels like a fever dream. still feels like
yeah.
an outlier that if you played that game 100 times, the Hornets might lose at 99. And they just found the one time, the one universe in which they could have won that OKC game. That's not what this game against San Antonio felt like. It felt like, and this is my takeaway generally from the 6-game winning streak, is that what has surprised me most about the Charlotte Hornets during this stretch and gives me the most hope that they can take this and continue it into February, March, and April is how they've controlled these games and stayed in control of these games. Because they did get the 10-point lead against San Antonio. They got the double-digit lead. They held on to it for a while, but San Antonio made the inevitable run. As even sometimes bad teams will make that run in the fourth quarter, but certainly a team of San Antonio's ilk is going to make a run at you at some point. And the Hornets stayed controlled, and they stayed moving the basketball, and they didn't devolve into complete ISO nonsense, and they stayed with their defense as well. And so I think this is a more complete team than the team that won against OKC. And it's a team that did it against San Antonio without Kon having an incredibly spectacular game. LaMelo shot 33% from the field. You did get the outlier Colin Sexton game, as you mentioned. He was 7 of 8 from the field, hit all 5 of his 3-point attempts, and led the team in game score. But look, when you're going to beat a good team, you got to have your sixth man step up in that moment, and that's exactly what Colin Sexton did. But Brandon Miller, the star that you knew would be the star of the show, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and then, as you said, Moose with the double-double. And here's the thing, they had the good game plan against Wemby. 0 blocks. We could talk about all the Hornet stats in the world if we want to, but Wemby having 0 blocks, and I'll throw it to you because you had the sort of mention on X of the observation that, like, how disciplined they played around the rim when it came to attacking Wemby.
Loved it. I loved it. I thought the kickouts were so smart. I thought that they were totally aware of where he was. One good example of this is the way that they used Moussa, not in the dunker spot, but instead, let's say that you would have a ball on one side of the court, right? And instead of Moussa hanging out in the dunker spot opposite of where the basketball was, what would happen is he would flash high post because Wemby and centers in general are just so used to worrying about short corner crash, dunker spot lob. You can't do it against Wemby, especially with an undersized guy like Moussa. So they adapt. So instead of Moussa just hanging around, being ready to catch the lob, which will never come because Wemby has the longest wingspan of all time at 7'4", so let's not try to run our head and throw a brick wall time and time again. Well, this is what we do. Dunker spot, lob. This is how the NBA runs offense. What they'll do is instead they'll have Moussa flash high post, and that is still a pass that can be made if Wemby overcommits. And then Moussa has that little push shot that's been working for him. God, Moussa's improved so much offensively where the points per shot attempt are so up, but it's because of, one, just his overall improvement, but there are also these little wrinkles, these little designs to help free your guys to put them in the best situations possible. Moussa's going up against Victor Wembanyama, and yet Moussa had the better game, and everybody recognized it. If you watched the game, you saw that Moussa had the better contest than the generational guy that was drafted number 1 overall. And Charles Lee's putting him in some of those situations. That's just one example. Kon, I thought, was very cognizant of the length all across the board, didn't shoot quite a bit. Rim deterrence is still there, but you can't act like you lose the game just because they're deterring you from the rim. It's an advantage for the San Antonio Spurs for sure. But the kickouts and then those second chance drives I was talking about, where they would attack once they left Victor scrambling just a little bit, I thought it was a really, really smart game. To your point, they were in control, and they're winning close games now. That used to be the thing that eluded them. If they were going to win, it was going to be by 25 points. But here's a close game against a really, really good team. They won a close game, and that's a really, really nice sign.
And here's a conversation that I hope we can have after the Charlotte Hornets beat the New Orleans Pelicans later today. And maybe we can still have it even if they lose to the Pelicans, because we can look back on January and look at all these incredible stats and say, like, which player, and you can throw Charles Lee, you can throw Jeff Peterson into the conversation, like which person has had the most impact on the turnaround that we've seen that everyone is noticing. Oh, by the way, the other argument on the San Antonio win is what you said. It was a national TV game. They showed up in the spotlight. That changes the conversation for the Charlotte Hornets. But what player or person, and when I look at that game at San Antonio, again, you can look at Brandon Miller and say he has turned into the all-NBA level elite two-way player prototype that they imagined him to be, and he still has a lot of room to continue to grow in that spot because this has been a team effort. It makes the conversation difficult to have because this has been a total team effort. There hasn't been one incredible star carrying the conversation, which is why when I look at the game plan that they had against San Antonio and the way everyone bought in and how many times they attacked the rim but made good rim decisions, and defensively the times that they've been able to shut down stars, and I say, man, we can have the conversation. We can go deeper into it later on. But I think Charles Lee has a good argument to say he has had the most impact on this Charlotte Hornets turnaround.
Oh, baby. Are we talking coach of the year, possibly?
If they make the play-in, he's got to be in the conversation.
We'll get to that conversation. Final note on where this game ranks. It feels like the OKC game was the game that the scientists saw on the seismograph that showed there was activity, and he's warning everybody. I promise you, there's about to be an explosion. The volcano is about to erupt, and they see it, and they say, well, okay, I'll admit it's weird, but there's no way it's going to erupt. And it feels like San Antonio was the game where the volcano erupted.
And bee instead of lava, it was just bees that shot out of the volcano. By the way, I love...
bees everywhere.
I love, what did you call them, the Marauders? The midday Marauders?
The matinee Marauders.
How many nicknames? Because you've got killer bees. I mean, you are stacking them up right now. Yeah. I mean, how many nicknames can we come up with? I've got one more. I'll tell you what the Hornets are making me feel right now. A little afternoon delight. Sticks and stones together. Make the sparks ignite. Watching Hornets play basketball.
Somebody get Ron Burgundy's jazz flute. Let's play some sweet
so
midday music. Absolutely. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Pew!
Want to recap more of the San Antonio game? Got to talk about the LaMelo ISO play, trade deadline stuff, all-star snubs. Did we have any on the Hornets roster? We'll get to that coming up next, LOH.
Afternoon delight.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live in the app right now. Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. Add another player to your lineup, and if your pick hits, you can cash in. Prize Picks is super simple to use. It takes no time to get started. The whole format is clean. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. It makes watching games even more fun because every drive and every stat matters to you. The social feed feature is awesome. You can share lineups, even copy lineups from winners with one click. And I love that you can follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade picks right from the feed. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Want to remind you of the Everydayers Club, the NBA trade deadline. It's basically here, 3 days away, February 5th.
Oh,
we want to give you a free month of our new Everydayer Club to help you get ready. Yeah, Hornets fans, and they're going to be checking that out quite a bit. Could be active. If you need a group chat to keep up with the chaos, join ours. The Everydayer Club gets you access to a group chat on Discord just for Hornets fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. You also get ad-free versions of this show. And if you sign up by the trade deadline on February 5th, you can use code DEADLINE to get your first month free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Talked about the best game, best win of the season. I think Spurs, it has a great case just because it feels like now everybody knows they're here. They're almost taking it as fact that the Hornets aren't coming, right? Even though that's what Colin Sexton said before the victory over San Antonio. We heard Zach Lowe say, they're coming. Watch out for the Hornets. It'd feel a little premature to say they're here, but man, they're playing like they're here. That's maybe win of the season. Play of the season, there's certainly a few to choose from there.
I know,
but
what
the
you're
LaMelo, the LaMelo ISO on Wemby. Because you talk about what is it representative of, right? LaMelo seeing Wemby, LaMelo wanting the smoke. All right, so competitive juices are flowing. Joy of the game. Hey, this is what we do it for. Right here. National television. I got the big old freak on me. I'm going to go after him. I'm going to see what I can do against him one-on-one. So it's Wemby versus LaMelo. Got his freak on, baby. And then LaMelo drives right by him, which, like, LaMelo's been a lot better, in my opinion, at handling physicality at the point of attack this year. There was just no physicality there. Just blew right by him. There was it almost
story of Wemby.
What are you doing? What's going on? Drives right by Wemby. And instead of wanting to cap it off so desperately so with a bucket, and it would be more than understandably so, if he shot a mid-ranger or took it to the basket, I'd be cool with that. Be fine. But instead, he decides to kick it out to the corner to where Kon swings it to Brandon Miller for a deep three, ends up being a 4-point play. Just, I felt like if there was a play to encapsulate how well the Hornets have been playing offensively, all because of ball movement, and it's starting with the engine of the offense, that play was just chef's kiss, and it ended with a 4-point banger. That's my favorite one of the year.
Well, you said you would have been okay with him taking the floater or taking something at the rim. I don't know that I would have been because his numbers haven't been great there this season, but they have been from beyond the arc, but most importantly, they have been with his pass. Like, he's an assist percentage and assist per usage leader in the NBA this season, and that's where he's been able to do most of his damage. And so that's an important thing, and I think it's why you're starting to hear the word maturity and LaMelo Ball being put around him, but it also highlights something else, that LaMelo trusts his shooters. It's something we talked about a lot last season, that a lot of the reasons why LaMelo would go into ISO LaMelo mode and do some goofy stuff is that he didn't trust the guys that were in the corner waiting on the basketball. And so he would just do it himself. And he had good reasons not to trust them because they weren't playing well offensively. Like, your top 5 or 6 guys in usage last season were all underwater in terms of their offensive efficiency, in terms of their points per shot attempt. So of course he's not going to trust them. But he trusts them now. Josh Green, the guy he passed to initially, has been hitting more corner looks. And then it swings back around to guys like Kon Knueppel and Brandon Miller, guys that are trustworthy in terms of their ability to hit 3-point shots, particularly in this month of January. So yeah, I mean, he looks more mature, but also the team is more mature around him.
Was it Josh Green in the corner? I apologize. I took credit away from him.
I thought it was. I'll look it up.
Either way.
I want to get this right.
Either way, great play. And it felt like after that, I
have it bookmarked like 6 times on X. Like 6 different versions of the play. That's how much I loved it.
Here it is, my favorite play, and I don't even know what happened on it. So if you go to your point though, like it's proof of concept that LaMelo around decent to average to legitimate NBA players, this is what he can do. Where Josh Green, Doug, he played 11 minutes in this game against San Antonio. Josh Green was by far the most available player outside of Miles Bridges and Moussa. But in terms of last year, in terms of starts and minutes played, where he's playing 30 and he's starting, and now that guy's playing 11 minutes. Just to put it into perspective of what they were asking from whom last year. And here you have LaMelo just playing so well.
Can I give you 2 more? I know we want to talk trade deadline, and really I only have one question on that. Can I give you 2 other crazy stats that I took the time to research this morning?
Well, we haven't even talked about Moussa and my one Moussa mentioned per restraining order limit. So yeah, go ahead. We can still talk about the game.
So their defense has been excellent. In fact, over the past 2 weeks, they are the second best defensive team in the league according to Cleaning the Glass. And they're holding teams to under 100 points. So like it's obvious to see this defense is playing better. And yet, because I was like, man, I bet there's got to be Brandon Miller. I thought was the name that popped in my head. There's got to be one guy who's up there in terms of deflections in the league. And so I go to the deflections hustle stats, and I go the first 50, no Hornets. Second 50, no Hornets. I finally get to the leader for the team in deflections per game this season. It's KJ Simpson at like 2.5. So we'll throw KJ out. I'm sorry, KJ, you haven't played enough minutes to qualify for this particular idea. But you have to get into the 4th page before you find Charlotte Hornets, and it's LaMelo at 2.1 and then Brandon at Kon at 2.0. So again, going back to our theme of this is a team effort. It's not one guy stepping up on either end of the floor. It's everybody doing their part, but it's a collective effort. When you have three guys that are averaging two deflections a game, that's going to be more powerful than, obviously, I mean, this is simple math here, but it's going to be more powerful than one guy doing it 3 or 4 times and everybody else not doing anything. So it's just been incredible to watch how everyone's played on a string defensively, helping each other out, being there early. That's what helped. You know, when Wemby did get some paint touches, that's what helped. Like Moussa did a good job being physical, but it was also everybody helping on those plays as well and helping early that led to that win.
Yeah, I mean, you see Charlotte's defense, even still, according to Cleaning the Glass, they're third to last in turnover percentage. That's just not their game. They're not going to get out in the passing lanes and then turn that necessarily. If they do, then it will turn into transition, but they just don't. If it usually fast break opportunities, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to come off of live rebounds because LaMelo is immediately calling for the ball. Moussa just runs up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, he is it's so funny to have LaMelo, who is clearly such a fast break offense unto himself, but to pair him with Moussa, who never stops and has always been a transition improver for the offense. Like, to have both of those guys, and Brandon, who is so damn good. That's the thing. They're good on fast break opportunities. They just don't get out enough because they're not poking balls away and starting their offense off of steals. But the defense has been working because they're just trying to keep everything in front.
Well, and just imagine, I mean, this is what Charles Lee has done so far with this particular set of players, that I don't think you look across the board and say, oh, amazing defender, amazing defender, amazing defender, like you would teams like Oklahoma City. So just imagine what Charles Lee is going to do when he's given a few more ingredients. I don't think it's a wholesale change that needs to be made to the team to make them better defensively, because obviously they're playing well right now. But you do have to make some changes so that they play better playoff defense, because I do think it's different in January than it's going to be, in April and May. So we'll just have to see what they do at the deadline, but it will be very interesting.
Let's talk about some of those possibilities coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
February 5th, now people are having all sorts of conversations on the Hornets. Are they buyers? Are they sellers? Are they going to look to win on the margins? If they still trade one of their players on the team that's helping them win for assets, does it mean that they're actually trying to enter tank mode? We'll try to help you make sense of all of it coming up next, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game time? There's nothing like being in the NBA arena. Any NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part isn't always so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. You can pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and have tickets locked in within minutes. You might love seeing the all-in pricing up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. It continues to be my favorite feature about Game Time. Being able to see the view from the seat, too, before buying makes the decision much easier. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON. Locked On for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. This episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. February can be a lot. Flowers, candy, stuffed animals. Oh yeah, I got to get on that. So much to talk about when it comes to relationships. It can honestly feel like everyone else has it all together in their love life, and you might not. But here's the truth. Whether you're married, dating, single, or just focusing on you, most people are still figuring it out. No matter where you are in your romantic journey, therapy can help you find your way. It can help you get a clear head on what you want, what feels heavy, and how to take some pressure off of yourself. It's easy to assume everyone else has the perfect relationship, but most people are working through something. Therapy can help you recognize patterns that might be weighing relationships down in your personal life. BetterHelp has licensed therapists in the U.S., and they do the initial matching work for you, so you can focus on your goals. And if you want to switch therapists, you can do that at any time. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. trade deadline stuff, conversation surrounding the Hornets around the trade deadline, changing a decent amount. And yet, it's still hard to figure it out. It's still hard to figure out what makes sense for Charlotte and what they should be doing. Because here they are, continuing to climb up the standings, right? Now, Chicago, Atlanta, they're within striking distance. We said it last pod. They're here. They are in the race right here, right now. It's not like, oh, man, if they keep this up, then they'll be. No, they're in it right now with 35-ish games, something like that to go. So they're in the race. If they wanted to make maybe a smaller but like still big impact move, they could do that. They could trade Colin Sexton. Miles Bridges is still being thrown out there quite a bit, Doug. Contenders wanting both of those guys. I've seen Colin Sexton in Milwaukee and Detroit. A lot of Detroit stuff with Colin. Cleveland was mentioned. Maybe that changes with the Keon Ellis addition and Dennis Schroeder addition, I should say. So you have those things happening for Cleveland. You also have Milwaukee inquiring about Miles. Apparently there's a Kyle Kuzma hang up. Are the Bucks going to try hell or high water to hold on to Giannis? It doesn't seem like that. Do they still want Miles? Can you help me make sense of how you are viewing this trade deadline surrounding the Hornets, Doug?
If Kyle Kuzma is coming to Charlotte, I hope the hang up is Jeff Peterson hanging the phone up, because the one thing that the Charlotte Hornets that you don't want them to do is mess with all of the chemistry they've built. And certainly, look, whenever you move someone away from the team, you're going to do that in some fashion. But what you bring back is important to seeing if you can maintain that chemistry. If you're bringing back someone that can go with the flow, that can fit, that understands what Charles Lee wants and can implement that, then that's one thing. If you're bringing someone that may not be able to do that, that's a scary proposition. Before we talk of any more trade deadline, though, I got to do some cleanup, because I don't want anyone asking questions. That was obviously a big dub. We got really into the conversation. I had the hat next to me, and I forgot to put it on because we were just so intensely, talking about the Charlotte Hornets.
Isn't that an indicator, though? We would have never forgotten about an opportunity to wear a big dub hat before, but now it's kind of happening. They're happening here and there. Hey, we'll catch you next time, big dub hat. Yeah. That didn't used to be the case. No,
but it's important. It's important that we track these things.
It is.
But it's the scary part for me about trading Colin Sexton. And I think whether it's the Every Hornets box score chat, some of the comments that we've seen on YouTube or on social media, people, I wouldn't say, I don't know, I don't have like a general pulse on this thing, but I've seen people willing and eager to move Colin Sexton from this team, but he's like in the 91st percentile for points per shot attempt among combo guards. He has a great assist percentage. He's playing career basketball and obviously was a huge part, if not the biggest part, of that win against San Antonio. So you have to be really careful. But at the same time, and this is why I struggle with it, I want the Charlotte Hornets overall, like if I zoom out 30,000 feet and say I want the Charlotte Hornets to do what they did during the Bass era. When they were their best, they would acquire players and then move those players at their peak for value that they could then extend their own run. And so that's what they have the potential to do with Colin Sexton. And yet, and it's so funny because I'm the do something guy. But I look at what they just did in January and I say, go, you got to be careful before you mess with that because it's so good. I want to hold on to it.
Right, because you like what they did this offseason, and you like what they've done
through the draft. I mean, the
That's
draft.
right. That maybe we just change the meaning of do something, and maybe do something was always hit on the draft. Do something in the draft, and instead of trade for worse picks, maybe it's just do something in the draft. And they did.
What a concept.
They did. I know it's weird, but yeah, maybe you just draft the right guys. It's not going to rapid fire, but trying to consolidate some of my thoughts on the deadline. I think the names to watch for, clearly, the ones that everybody knows about. Colin Sexton, Trey Mann is another one. What happens with Trey? Would any team be okay taking that contract on and still believing that there's something there? This offseason was a rough one for Trey. I think you're seeing a lot of that affect him. I hate to see it for him because I love the dude. The dude is damn cool, and I hate to see it, but just hasn't been a factor, hadn't been called upon by Charles Lee. So Trey Mann, Colin Sexton. The Miles Bridges stuff is really interesting to me because there was so much noise. There's always noise surrounding Miles at the deadline. Remember last year, he tweet out Mini Men by 50 Cent, Mini Men wish death upon me, something like that. After the deadline, he made it, right? So he's back with the team. And it was like, hey, I know most people wanted me to be traded, but I'm back, baby. So the Miles stuff, okay. A month ago, those rumors were a lot louder. Now, since he is a part of the Killer Bees lineup, they just destroy everyone. They destroy everyone. So the reason to not trade him would be because of chemistry, and you just don't want to mess up this perfect little Killer Bees lineup that he's a part of. And he's dangerous, right? He makes a lot of, I think offensively, he does a lot of stuff. He can shoot a little bit. You can go get better shooting, and you can do it pretty easily. But can you get the shooting that also has the chemistry with LaMelo? Both of those guys have such a good relationship, and they always have. The dude that can run out in transition, and we're starting to see some more dunks from Miles. It feels like there's an uptick there in the last couple of years. They do go to him in the fourth quarter. Now, he doesn't hit a lot of jump shots in clutch time. He has made shots in the fourth quarter. I know you looked that stat up the other day. So I think the question for Miles would be, one, is it for real that they would only trade him if they got 2 first-round picks? Remember that rumor? And everybody's like, whoa, 2 first? They're not going to get 2 first. I still don't think they would, but they might. And if that was the offer, here are 2 first-round picks on top of the salary matching and whatever. That's a long meeting. It's a big-time meeting, because if Bobby Portis was a part of that, because Milwaukee's been mentioned so many times, do you feel like you can maybe sacrifice a little chemistry for a 45% three-point shooter at the 4 spot? You still have toughness, you still have aggression, or do you turn down like an impressive asset haul to still keep this 5 together? Like, that's the question for me, and I think it would be pretty damn risky to mess with this starting 5 right now.
Well, I think so, but that's the thing though. This season was never about like absolutely no holds barred, we have to make the playoffs. And so even though like we're all getting caught up in the Hornets fever, you would hope that your front office would be a little bit more measured and thoughtful. Let the fans, let the fanalists be fanalists and the fans be fans. Hopefully your front office has a clear head about what the 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 year plan is. And they could, now here's what I would hope, that they would be, mindful of like, hey, we do have to sell this to the fans, right? If we move Colin Sexton, if we move Miles Bridges and say, hey, we're ripping some of the heart out of this team, you've got to go and say, hey, look what we got. We got a first-round pick and a serious pick swap, or we got 2 first-round picks. You can't move Colin Sexton for 2 second-round picks and like a heavily protected first or something. You just can't do that to this fan base that is finally starting to wake up. You can't. That would be that'd be like a melatonin gummy and a warm glass of milk to this fan base if you did that. You'd put them right back to sleep. They're going back to sleep if you do that. So please don't do that. But at the same time, if that offer does come in for 2 first-round picks for Miles, and I think I would get on the mic and say, look, this has been incredible. But if you're talking about what they're going to do in the future, I don't think that it's going to be their actual playoff run that's going to come next season or the season after is not going to hinge on Colin Sexton. It's not going to hinge on Miles Bridges. So they would have to be prudent in terms of accepting an offer that they absolutely couldn't refuse, even if it meant it slightly, hamstrung the Hornets' ability to make the play-in or do damage in the play-in this season. That's a tough conversation, particularly now when everyone's hyped up, but that's just the reality.
The Colin Sexton question is, what do you value more? 35 games of Colin helping you with some depth to make a serious run at a playoff spot, because they're already in the play-in race. Do you want 35 games of Colin Sexton helping you off of the bench for a playoff spot? Or do you want to trade him before you lose him for nothing? Because I don't think they're going to bring Colin back, right? At the very least, it feels like this experience that we've seen from Colin means that they're not going to extend him. They're not going to agree to a contract. And that's the thing. For me, I would understand going ahead and trading him at the deadline. They're already trying to put the ball in Deion James's hands anyway to run the offense, and the turnovers are up. Like the Colin stuff, I love him. Hornets DNA through and through. there might be a better fit with even a contender. Like, these are good teams looking at Colin, right? They're good teams, even still looking at Miles. The Miles one is the real tricky one because he has one more year left on his deal, unlike Colin, who's going to be expiring. So one more year left on his deal. Do you want to press the fast forward button on Miles's contract so badly to free up not only Colin's money, that's 18, but Miles, that's 25. So now you're talking about $40 million to then go sign some free agents to help you with LaMelo, Kon, Brandon, because remember the Brandon Miller contract extension is coming up as well. The money part, it's what good teams have to face. The money part when trying to retain all your talent, and it feels like that's kind of what the Hornets are dealing with. Rapid fire all-star snubs. My thoughts are, man, it's really hard to make the all-star team when you stepped on the gas just a little too late. The things got cooking in December 23rd. Really, that's when Moussa started, and that's when we saw the Killer Bees and all this stuff. They started balling out. Brandon, his streak, really, really impressive. Hurt too much. Started this incredible streak a little too late. LaMelo in and out of the lineup. Efficiency's down a little bit. His impact has been incredible, but who do you take it away from? I think the people that have a gripe with Pascal Siakam making it this year and then holding LaMelo out last year because of the lack of wins argument, I think those people have a legitimate argument to make. What say you?
Yeah, I've got this graphic here from, it's not going to show up because it's too zoomed in, but it's from Hornets Reddit, and they're essentially like, LaMelo, the Hornets are the 14th seed in the East. He's not a winning player. He can't be an all-star. Welcome to the all-star team, Pascal Siakam. The Pacers are 14th in the East. I get the sentiment, but this to me showcases that when the coaches make selections, they're looking at what a player does on both ends of the floor. That it is about your team winning, but they also looked at the Pacers and said, we understand why you're not winning. And yet Siakam, even though his efficiency's down offensively, he's still a great two-way player, and they would probably have like one win maybe if he wasn't there. So I think they recognize that. So, I think and we always talk about this, like you have to make your statement and then make the All-Star game. So if LaMelo had started the season healthy, had or near the level offensively that he played last season, not had to deal with any ankle issues, and improved his game defensively like we've seen him do over the past couple of weeks, I think he'd be an all-star. If Brandon and Kon and LaMelo, if they all carry this into next season, they will have arguments, but they're not going to put Kon in over. Cooper's not going to make it. They're not going to make Kon the first rookie to make the all-star team since Blake Griffin. They're not going to do that with Kon Knueppel and Cooper being probably still the rookie of the year favorite overall, even if Kon has edged him right now. I haven't checked the latest odds. And then Brandon, as you said, just too late. So, I think Brandon Ingram, if you're going to do a sub for Giannis, Brandon Ingram has a good case. Maybe Embiid, but he hasn't played a lot of games, but he's playing incredible basketball right now. So there are players that are going to make it, unfortunately, over the Hornets, but they're making their statement. They just have to carry it into next season.
I think people are retroactively getting mad, and I get that, because the dismissal of LaMelo last year, because he was playing with a bunch of G Leaguers, and now Pascal getting in despite the losing record, that makes sense to me. I just hated the dismissal as loud as it was last year. It never made sense. I think you're seeing proof of concept of that this year. Locked On Hornets, Doug Branson in his big dub hat. everyhornetsboxscore.com. Go check him out on Yahoo Sports Daily as well. Jason Fitz, Caroline Fitton. They're going to be hosting all week long from Super Bowl land. Oh, man. Radio Row at the Super Bowl. It is bonkies. So go check it out. It's always a lot of fun when shows are hosting over there from the Super Bowl. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow to recap the Pellies game.
See you.